6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Through Black and White Eyes. This is a special show tonight because we've got a special person back on for the second time. It's a warm welcome back to Through Black and White Eyes for Gibbo. So we'll get through this load of rubbish as we always do. Please like, subscribe, hype. You know, it's all free. Join. If you're watching on, jump over to YouTube if you want to ask any questions, because it's the only way you can do it. Let's keep things respectful as always. And don't forget to grab your tickets for the upcoming talk-in with Super Mac and Gibbo 2. All proceeds are going to Azure and Butterwick Hospice. So proud to be doing that, and another great opportunity to raise money for two great charities. That's the reason why we're doing it. Scott's in the chat after being on the show literally 20 minutes ago, which was a great discussion about the Leeds game. And again, if you've got any questions, drop them in and I will star them, and then I'll know to come back to them, basically. But without any further ado, let's bring the man in himself, the reason why we're all here and we're all waiting to hear from him. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Barry. How are you, my friend? Happy New Year to you.
Yes, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to the families. Everyone good?
Everyone's fine. Had my birthday on Sunday and watched Newcastle win a football match. Perfect present.
You can't get any better than that on your birthday, can you? I love it.
It certainly can't. Mine for 70 minutes, I was twitching like a fried egg because it was 0-0, but we got there in the end.
We did. We will come to it too, because obviously we want to talk about the Leeds game as well. But you did ask what we wanted to talk about, and one of the big questions is your top 3 highlights of 2025. I know what number one's going to be.
Oh yes, you know that. When we got a corner in that match.
Yeah.
Obviously the big moment was winning the first cup in 70 years. I mean, now first domestic one, I hasten to add. The last time that happened, 1955, I was a little lad sitting in front of my Auntie Grace's black and white telly, which was the size of a postage stamp, watching Newcastle win the FA Cup for the third time in 5 years. And I thought, this is going to be a wonderful life. This is going to happen all my life. And it never happened since. I was there in 69 in Budapest when we won the European Fairs Cup. But it's been a long, long wait. And it was just wonderful. And what was so wonderful about it? I mean, you know, it's like being greedy, isn't it? Looking in the tuck shop and somebody saying, what do you want? And then I say, I want everything. So I didn't just want to win the cup. I wanted to win it with real style. And we played the Premier League champions, for goodness sake, in the final. And not only beat them, but butchered them. We were tremendous on the day. And, you know, and Dan Byrne, the local lad from Asda, pushing the trolley round the Blythe Asda, hitting a header like he did. I mean, and then winning an England cap on the end of it. I mean, bless him, I think it's truthful to say a one-pace centre-half, but with a heart the size of a frying pan, certainly scores a wonderful goal at Wembley to win his hometown team a cup, and then goes off and plays for England. Over 30 years old. What a fairy story that was. And I mean, off the top of my head, without thinking about it, the other two, without going into it in great detail, the other two in 2025, I guess, would be beating Arsenal home and away in the semi-final, because by Jove, I mean, if any of those Southern guys want to say that we nicked the trophy when we did eventually get one and didn't deserve it, beating Arsenal home and away in the semi-final, Liverpool in the final, was hardly a fluke, was it? I mean, that is the way to do it. Yes, I suppose also memories 2025 is being back in the Champions League. And, you know, the wins that we have had so far, beating Union away 4-0 and Benfica
Yeah.
home 3-0, Atletico Bilbao 2-0. Yeah, they weren't the greatest sides in Europe or playing in a competition which has been swollen this year by a load of sides getting in that are fringe. I mean, we're in a sandwich between Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain. Now, they're royalty. The guys we've just beaten there aren't so, but they're having the title of a Champions League game is extra special too. But I mean, can any results, not just in 2025, but in recent history, outside of beating Paris Saint-Germain 4-1 up here in the Champions League, can any results really beating Arsenal home and away without them scoring in the semi-finals of the Cup, to go to Wembley and then absolutely slaughter the eventual Premier League champions in the final? Wonderful.
It was. Yeah, that's those semi-finals. I was at work for one of them, and I was in the canteen, and the guys I work with, they like football, but they're not massive football fans. And they're sitting next to me, and I'm like on the edge of my seat, twitchy bum all the time, and Arsenal get the ball and that. And when we scored, I just leapt out my chair and screamed. They were like, "What are you doing?" I said, "This is how a football fan reacts. You know, this is a semi-final of a cup." They just don't. Some people just don't get it, do they? Where's Dan? Superfan Dan's meant to be on the show with us again tonight, but he said he went for a shower, and I hope he hasn't fallen over or something. Or he's probably gone back to bed. He's in America. He's so
I got you.
The time difference is a little bit different.
Absolutely.
You have to put it.
But I mean, the wonderful thing, Barry, was that, you know, normally when we play those bigger sides, you're thinking you're full of apprehension. And, you know, I mean, we didn't just get beat down at Arsenal and then win the second leg. We won both legs and won it convincingly. And they're the best. I mean, we beat the Premier League champions last season to win the cup. And then the semi-final, we beat Arsenal home and away, who will probably win the Premier League title this season. I mean, we were beating the quality sides and deservedly. In lots of ways, Barry, though. It was only a few months back. I mean, it was about 10 months ago or whatever it is. It seems like an eternity.
It does, doesn't it?
When we talk about winning the cup, it doesn't seem like yesterday, having waited 70 years to win a domestic one, but it seems like in the past now, doesn't it? There's so much happened since.
Well, it does with the online abuse that Eddie Howe's been receiving about one of them sacked and things like that. It's mental. How can you go from a cup final win to wanting your manager out?
It's quite incredible. It's quite incredible, isn't it? Because this guy is taking you've got to bear in mind where we come from. I mean, we come from being habitually for a decade and a half under Ashley, relegation fighters. And our triumph at the end of the season was staying up. And twice we failed to do that. As you know, we were relegated. And from that, we've become a side that's played in 2 Wembley Cup finals, won one of them, and played in 2 Champions Leagues. So we've got to be grateful for that. Yes, there's been a blip. There's no question about that. This season, the first half of this season, had more up and downs than a fiddler's elbow. I mean, we've just been going boop, 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 boop. Emotions have been all over the place. And I think that's why some people, often it's the knee-jerk social media guys, isn't it? They get really nasty. It's the bane of our lives to have that these days. But it's right that managers are going to be scrutinized. All the great managers are scrutinized, but it must be with a sense of proportion. I mean, every great manager has come under scrutiny. When Arsene Wenger produced the Invincibles at Arsenal, that went the full season unbeaten, won every trophy possible to them, but eventually got the sack. Cloughy got the sack in 40-odd days at Leeds, having done everything he did with Nottingham Forest and Derby County, and become an absolute legend. The biggest fairy tale football has ever seen, which is Leicester City winning the Premier League title, Ranieri 1 year later was sacked. It won them the Premier League
Holy Grail.
They had no right to win a club of Leicester and coming from nowhere, and he was sacked. Eddie Howe is already a legend in Bournemouth for what he done as a player and what he done as a manager, taking them from the brink of extinction into non-league soccer to a Premier League. He is a legend there as he is a legend now because of what he's done. But he got the sack by Bournemouth at the end. I mean, legend doesn't give you a coat of armour, which stops people being critical about it. But you must keep a sense of proportion. And I mean, where we Geordie's ought to have seen a little bit of a warning is looked at what has just happened recently to top clubs. Manchester United have had to sack their manager. Chelsea has sacked their manager. Celtic, the biggest club in Scotland, has sacked their manager. So, that is how bad things can get with clubs that see themselves as elite. So, we shouldn't be knee-jerking at this stage of a season because we're now back in the top half of the division. We've got to keep going. There's no question about that. But we're in the top half of the Premier League again, thankfully. Goodness gracious me. We're in the semi-final of the League Cup yet again. And we'll need two performances like we had against Arsenal to turn Man City over and make Wembley again. There's no question there. And we're still in the Champions League. So the season could still have a silver lining to it.
Yeah, FA Cup still to come as well.
And the FA Cup's just about to start, with a home tie, which is good.
Baz, who was being linked with you? Oh, we'll come to that a little bit later on because I'm not too sure. Some great news. Jules and her husband are coming up for the talking at Benfield. We'll do a shout out for that now. I think it's important to do that.
Yes.
So thank you to you, obviously, John, for agreeing to do this. I just have stupid ideas in my head and I decide, I want to do this, I want to do that. Who can I get to rope in to help me? So it was great that you said yes. And obviously, I asked if you could get Supermac involved as well, which he greatly has said he'll do it for free as well. The same as yourself, same as Graham Bailey. Every single penny that is made from ticket sales, raffle sales, everything, apart from the bar, that's going to Newcastle Benfield Football Club because they're giving us the venue for free as well. But every single money we make is going to charity, and it's to your charity, Azure and Butterwick Hospice. Just give us your shout out and why we're doing this on the night. Sorry to ask you the question while you were drinking.
Sorry, not at all. I mean, quite simply for two reasons. First and foremost, it's charity. And it's nice to give something back. We've all had a good life following a very special football team and lived a long and full life in my situation, working way beyond the years there should. You want to give something back. You have lads like yourself that do so much to keep you boys epitomise what Newcastle United are all about. The love of the club is so great that you do the sort of thing we are literally doing at this moment. And that deserves support of people like myself and Supermac. Supermac's a great, great friend of mine. I was best man when he got married to Carol. And we've done all sorts of things all over the place from when he arrived here as a 21-year-old Cockney upstart, telling us that he was going to burst the world on our behalf. And I thought, you better be half as good as you think you are, mate. And he was twice as good as he thought he was, for which we're all eternally grateful. But yeah, we want to do things like this. And when you approached me, I was more than delighted to say yes to you straight away, Barry. And when I approached Malcolm, he was exactly the same way. So it'll be a good evening. We do a lot of things together, him and I, and we're looking forward to having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm just like a kid at Christmas, going to be sitting in the crowd. I've seen you live in a talking a very long time ago to Berkeley Tavern in Whitley Bay when John Beresford, the stories you two came out with that night were absolutely incredible. So, guys, £15 as well. I've made it as cheap as possible so anyone can get involved with this, and I don't want to put other people down who've done other things, but people are charging like 30 quid to see you guys live. 15 quid, it's very, very good. And like I said, the two of you together, the magic happens in the room when you've both got the mic. So we're really looking forward to it. And Dan's made it. Oh, you're on mute, mate.
There he is.
You're on mute.
Good evening.
Can't hear you.
Is he saying something?
He is, yeah, but can't hear him.
Can you lip read?
I can't. I'm terrible at lip reading. He's gonna.
Does that mean he's eventually going to be able to join us?
I think
Or
so.
is he away for his guitar? It's ZZ Top. Is he doing a gig tonight straight after the show or what?
Well, we call him Santa. Well, let's see if it's worked this time.
Here he comes.
Nope, can't hear you.
No, it's all lips again.
It is. While he's trying to work it all out, there's the QR code. If you scan that now with your camera on your phone, it'll bring up the web address to go and buy tickets for our night. So get that done. Dan?
Hello, Dan.
Can we hear you now?
He can't hear us and we can't hear him.
Something popped in my ear, so I felt like someone else was there. Quick question. Why does Gibbo look like Empire Palatini on the thumbnail?
I don't know what on earth that means, but if Dan can look like ZZ Top, then I can look like Brian Johnson from AC/DC. It's allowed, isn't it?
It is allowed. It was the thumbnail is the picture that everyone sees when they click on the show, basically.
Oh yes, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Right.
So I thought it was a good one. There we go. Star Wars. Dan's having some fun. I don't know. It worked literally half an hour ago. He was with me, so I don't know why it's not working. Oh, let's try again.
There we go.
Hey!
There he is. It's working.
Gibbo, good to see you, sir. Well,
Lovely to see you, my friend, and even better to hear you.
cheers, mate. Happy New Year. I look forward to seeing you in February. I do have one question to ask for you right after I come on. Do you still have the little badge I gave you a year ago?
I certainly do. I think you might be seeing that in February, my friend.
Brilliant. I love it.
Good to see you, sir. Thank you for coming on. And again, thank you, as Baz just said while I was in the studio. Thank you so much for agreeing to do it in February. We're looking forward to seeing you. Looking forward to seeing Super Mac. Looking forward to everybody coming up. Jules and Dave. Very happy.
Yes, Jules and Dave.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, no, great. So, thanks for having me again, Barry.
To me, it's your show as well. It's your channel. How old's the hat, Gibbo?
It's almost as old as me. I think my granddad wore it originally because we had a lot of woodpeckers flying about where we lived, and I've decided to do exactly the same as he did and save my bonnet.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it. I love hats like that.
It's a Geordie thing, Captain.
It is, yeah, definitely.
It's a Geordie thing.
Yeah, Andy Cap, the cartoon.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I haven't got my whippet on a bit of string tonight, but I might have it in February.
Oh, brilliant. Obviously, with start of the season, the transfer window, as you know, was a bit of a letdown, but it was a great last day of the window. And I think this is where people get a little bit mixed up, don't they? It's the start of the season was massively affected because of what happened in those last 48 hours of the window. You know, bringing Wisser in was brilliant. Bringing Voltemado wasn't brilliant. Losing the Rat was disastrous. And then losing Wisser to a knee injury. And as Dan rightly pointed out on the last show, we've only just started to see him now.
Yeah.
From your point of view, when all that happened, what were you thinking about the start of the season? Were you still hopeful, or did you think, oh, God, this is going to be a bit of a test?
Well, I was reeling. To be truthful, I was reeling because I've got two separate feelings about Isak. Isak as a player was magnificent. In his last two seasons, he scored 25 and 27 for us. People don't do that anymore. That is quite unique. Isak, the person, I haven't got any time for whatsoever, and he done the dirty on us big time. And I didn't realize at the time how much we would suffer by the change of personnel. And we've had an Isak hangover for the first half of this season without a shadow of doubt. And I think there's two real reasons for that. Not only did we lose a centre forward who scores 50-odd goals in 2 seasons for us, and that is a massive chunk of goals to take out of any side. But we lost a guy who was perfect for the way we played, with a high press and with pace and everything. He was the perfect centre forward for that because he had the ability to high press, he had pace, and he ran beyond defenders. So he was perfect for the way we played. For some unknown reason, we replaced him with somebody very different. Yes, we lost Wissa, who was pretty well. He's not an Isaac, but he stretches defenders and he goes beyond them, and he's a natural finisher and he lives in the 6-yard box. So he's all the things we need to fit into our side. Without having a go at Voldemort, who started exceptionally well. I mean, he scored about 6 goals before we knew where he was, and he only had 6 shots. I mean, every time he shot, when it was only once a game, but he scored. He scored every time he had a shot. But what he isn't, and he never was, and it's not his fault, he's not the sort of centre forward that fits into our system. Our system is all about pace. It's all about athleticism. It's all about high press. It's all about running beyond defenders, turning them, making them face their own goal. They hate doing that. That's what Wissa did. That's what Murphy did on one side and Gordon did on the other last season. We absolutely tortured sides. All of a sudden, we spend a record club fee to buy a centre forward who, in fairness to him, has not got the athleticism to do a high press all the game. I mean, that is not Nick Voldemort's game. He doesn't go beyond people. He drops deep. That's not the way we play. It's a very good way and very watchable, but it's not the way we play. And he's physically not strong. He looks very big and tall, and you would expect him to knock people about. He doesn't knock people about. This isn't a criticism of him. He's got wonderful feet. He's got great skills. But why do we buy somebody that is a square peg to put in a round hole? I mean, the way you've got to use this guy is to play him 10 behind Wissa.
Do you think that was the idea, though? We wanted the players in early in the summer to adapt these formation and to adapt these playing style, but then never got the time to do it.
To be truthful, Barry, if you're going to play the way Eddie has played since he came here, and you've built the whole side to play that way, why on earth do you spend 69 million for a guy that can't play that way? I mean, he's got great skills and all that. That isn't a go at him whatsoever. But who decided at St. James's Park that when we couldn't get the half dozen centre forwards we tried to get, that we should get Voldemort? And then we're told that he won't, and we were told just this week, Eddie doesn't want to play Voldemort and Wissa together because he would have to change his style, i.e. he would have to take a midfielder out or a winger out to pair them two up front. And he says that's not in his thoughts. He'll use them both as a 9, switching them around. I don't know why we bought Nick, and that sounds a criticism of Nick. It is not. It is anything but. He's a wonderful, wonderful footballer, but he doesn't fit the way we play. You look at him when he plays centre forward now, for his bless him. The wingers don't know whether to press, because if he doesn't press, then a press doesn't work. You've all got to press together to make it work. If one doesn't press, then all they do is play the ball into the fella that's spare, because this guy isn't pressing them, and they've got out of jail. Nick is a wonderful, wonderful footballer. He's a lovely, lovely human being. He wants to be successful. He is identified with the crowd enormously. Who on the scouting system decided he is ideal for the way we play?
It does feel like we ran out of ideas, doesn't it? That's what it feels like a little bit.
I think we.
They ended up. They went so far down the pecking order, and a lot of those in the pecking order, I'm quite happy not to have got. Like Delap and Sensei at Manchester United. I'm quite happy that we missed out on them. But we went so far down the pecking order, we just dived on 2, Wissa and Voldemort, because we saw what a good footballer Voldemort is. But nobody said, how is he going to fit into this system? And for the sake of the lad, as well as for the sake of us and for the sake of the team, I'm wondering what they're going to do with him. What are they going to do? Are they going to play him regularly centre forward? Because he isn't, bless him. I mean, we did that once and almost ruined a player. He was called Joe Linton. He wasn't a centre forward. We played him centre forward and almost ruined him. And Eddie come to his rescue by looking at him and saying he's not a centre forward, but he could possibly be a midfielder. And by Joe, was he?
He was right.
But you know, it's another one of those at the moment. I'm more curious than anything else, guys, to be truthful, to say, I wonder what we're going to do with Nick. I wonder what we're going to do, because if you spend 69 million, which is a club record, you haven't bought him to be a regular bencher, have you?
Right.
No, definitely not. And
you bought him to play in the team. Now he's not going to. The one time that he looked like an orthodox centre forward was that first half against Chelsea, when he actually took part in the press, when he scored twice by getting in well deep into the 18-yard box and finishing. And I thought, who's that Who's that exploding there? Who's that with the big gangly lad? Who is he? It's not Voldemort, bless him, because that's not the way he plays. But it's fascinating, and it's not a criticism of the lad. I'm very anxious to say that, because I think he's very, 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 very skillful. He must privately look at the way Newcastle set up and said, why this is not my strengths? Why did they want me playing the way I play to convert me into something I'm not, to suit the team? It is fascinating. Wissa fits perfectly. Wissa is what the type of centre forward Newcastle need in their setup, and I'm relieved that he's starting to play regularly again. And so what's happened this season is because he's left and because Wissa got injured, and because, bless him, we bought a centre forward who's not a centre forward, he's a number 10, but we're insisting he is a centre forward. So there you go.
We've seen some lovely things from him, though, and I don't know if you remember them, Dan. But
but they haven't been in their 6-yard box.
No, they haven't. This is the thing. But he's
a lovely footballer. He's a lovely, lovely footballer. But he doesn't. The great centre forward, Shearer, Supermac, Wojaki, lived in the penalty box.
Yeah.
It might be full of sharks. It might be a back alley where people have got flick knives and looking for you. But they love it in there. They love it in there. Nick, bless him, looks at the penalty area and sees a swimming pool full of sharks. He doesn't play in the penalty area. He plays outside. He is better footballer from the halfway line to the edge of the penalty area than Supermac or Shearer. Yeah. But he isn't a better finisher than them when he gets in the penalty area. Yeah. And you need that especially when you now play a number 9 who's on his own, guys. You know, in the old days, you would have Supermac and Tudor. You would have Shearer and Les Ferdinand. They hunted in pairs. Yeah. Now a centre forward hunts on his own with 2 wingers. So your centre forward's got to score a lot of goals because he's the only one that's playing through the middle.
Yeah, I do.
Well, is he the big and a big and large, in a big and small? Is he, a false 9 behind Avissa? Is he? He played ever so well for the German under-21s, and it only took the German national team 2 games to figure him out and say, right, this is how best to use him. He's not a battering ram like a big Dunk Ferguson or a Supermac. Or a Shearer for that matter. He is, as you said, John. He's exceptional with his feet. I call him a 6'6". We call him a Geordie BFG. The B is the Beardsley, and F in giant is what it is. He's a Beardsley F in giant is what he is. Because his feet are exceptional. We just need to get them closer to the 18-yard box. He needs to be hovering on the D on the 18-yard box and waiting for balls to come to feet so that he can then play through balls after through balls after through balls. I just don't. That's not our style of play at the moment. I just can't figure out where he fits best, or what kind of a formation he would fit best in.
I mean, it is fascinating, and I'm more fascinated about it than I am angry. I'm fascinated because I don't want to waste the football talent that is in that guy. Yeah. And I believe something will happen that'll force Eddie's hand by accident in the future, and he'll discover he'll be forced at some time to play Wissa as an orthodox number 9 and Voldemort is a 10. That'll happen because of injuries or because Newcastle don't win a couple of games on the trot, so we've got to do something new. That'll happen where Eddie will do it reluctantly, and then he'll look at the blossoming of the 2 of them together and say, "Oh, am I a genius or what? Here we go. We're going to start winning things now." Because I think he would be a magnificent 10. He would be a magnificent 10.
I mean, I thought that's why we bought him, because when we play against the low block at St James's Park, we struggle to break teams down. And he is the perfect player who will receive the ball, like you said, around the D with players at his back, and you'll find a flick through to someone who's running off him. But he can't do that all himself, can he? He needs to have that support in Visser.
I think he picks up the ball between the halfway line and the 18-yard line of the opposition, and he does something brilliant with his feet, looks up and says, I'll ping this into the centre forward, and then says, oh, dear me, I am the centre forward. he's doing it as a 10, and he looks up, having beaten two midfielders, close quarters, and he looks up to ping somebody in, and there's nobody to ping in because he's supposed to be up there.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's not meant to be ultra critical. It's meant that I'm just very curious about it. I'm very, very curious about it.
He is an asset.
Now Visser's got fit and come back into the side. He's playing more or less all the time at centre forward, and so he should. He's terrific at that. But then, what are we going to do with Big Nick? He's not going to sit on the bench for the next 20 games, is he?
No,
so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
No.
I think we will see a completely different Nick Voltemata after a full preseason next season. I think next season we're going to be able to, with a full preseason, to play and tinker with whatever formations or whatever style of plays or whatever we're going to be looking at. We're going to see a completely different player next year because we'll know what we have. Like we've all just said, we were scraping the bottom of the barrel for a forward at the end of August. I mean, Sesko turned us down. Delap turned us down. Ekatike turned us down. João Pedro turned us down. Strand Larson, for whatever reason, Wolves moved the goalposts on. We couldn't get a center forward to save our lives, except Visser, who wanted to come, but Brentford didn't want to sell him. We were totally up against it, and the fact that we were able to get someone of that quality who played so well for the under-21s, and we've seen now. I mean, as you said, Gibbo, he's indoctrinated himself with the Geordie faithful. Everybody loves him. The number of 27 shirts that you see now on Tyneside is fantastic. He is a cult hero at this point. We just haven't seen the best of him because we were forced to play him as an unorthodox 9. And I think what we will see either later in the season. I said to Baz a couple of weeks ago, I said, remember when we weren't playing in the Champions League, whenever there was a long break, an international break, or a break that we weren't involved in anything, we would run off to Saudi, to Riyadh, and do some warm weather training of it. We haven't had any time for training this season simply because of the number of games that we've got coming. So we would come back from one of those warm weather trainings, and all of a sudden we would be, the fire was in the belly. Everything about us was rough and tumble. Let's get in it and go. We haven't had that opportunity this season. We haven't had the chance to work on the playing field, on the training field, as much as we'd want to. The only time we see the training field is for the marketing guys to do interview videos. That's it. That's all we've done.
And for the foreseeable future, it's like that, isn't it? We've just played the weekend. We've got Leeds tomorrow night, and then we get Bournemouth, and then we have Man City, because we're still in the League Cup and the FA Cup and the Champions League, which goes on forever the way it is at the moment, the new format. So they ain't time to train. But as long as Nick keeps his spirits up and doesn't feel disillusioned in any way or sidelined because Johan's fit again, then his moment will come. But it might need just that little tweak in the mind of Eddie to make it happen, and he's done that before with Joe Linton and found an answer with Joe Linton. And let's pray that while he's reluctant to change a system that's worked so well for him for
3 years, 3.5 years, 4 years,
terrific for him, and he doesn't want to change it, and therefore he doesn't change it. He changes players, but personnel, but not the system. It's Bonds or Gordon on one side. It's Murphy or Land on the other side. It's the three midfielders with Ramsey or Miley or whoever coming in there. But it's not a change of system. He might have to tweak it a little bit if he's going to use Visser and Voltemade in the same team.
Yeah, there's a good question from Junior Turner, who's been to a few things and great music. Follow his YouTube channel. We don't. Why don't we have journals and press conferences like Gibbo asking what us fans are, i.e., Wissa and Baltimore together, etc. It needs to be pressed. Now, I've said this quite a lot of times about our current press. They all seem to be very lovey-dovey and rather want to know who Nick Voldemort is sticking his sausage in, rather than saying, why isn't Nick Voldemort out on the football pitch with Vissa? You know, we've got to start asking these difficult questions, and I don't know why.
It is a funny old world now. It's a different world from the one I was initially brought up in with Newcastle United, because in my time of following Newcastle on a day-to-day basis, Joe Harvey was the manager. We were winning things. We won our only European trophy. We got to an FA Cup final. We won the Anglo-Italian. We never got relegated out of the old First Division. But I used to go up every morning to St. James's Park at 10:30 and sit in the manager's office with Joe and talk to Joe. Now, that was both. Now, you never get a one-to-one between a journalist and a manager. You sit in a press conference once a week, or just before each game, and you sit there collectively and you stick your hand up in the air, and the head of publicity indicates you can ask your question, and you ask your question and Eddie answers it. Now, Eddie is the ultimate diplomat. He's brilliant. He can say a million words and he hasn't told you a solitary single thing. And that's a gift. If ever he doesn't want to be a football manager, he can go and be a politician, because he can talk for England and he says that. I mean, I listen to his press conferences and I'm never any the wiser on what is actually happening at St. James's Park, because he's very clever at not doing that. But what happens, I used to go, now the minus with me going up and having Joe on my own is that if I don't get on with Joe or I'm not forceful, I will get nothing at all, because I have no help from other journalists around me. What is the plus is that when I ask Joe a question, and I would say something like, if it was this one, I'd say, what about Voldemort and Wissa? And he would give me answer. But I would then come back and say, Joe, you haven't answered the question. I'm asking you, are you going to play these? What have you got to do to play these? How can you play these? How will it work? Now, there's none of that banter goes on in a press. You listen to a live press conference now, and there's, because it's not encouraged by the club. I don't mean by Eddie. I mean by the club, through the people. It's not encouraged that you can come back to the manager and say, wait a minute, that wasn't the question I was asking, or I'm sorry, that is bland. It's not the actual. So, I mean, I would tear my hair out in the press conference now, because I wouldn't, if I was there actually doing it, because I would forget, and I would go into Gibbo mode and I would say, wait a minute, Eddie, you haven't answered the flipping question. I'm going to ask it again. If you do that now, you're liable to be taken outside and smacked with a stocking full of something horrible until you submit. You know, it's not allowed to happen anymore. But so you get these free and easy ride press conferences where in the old days you were able to stick at it like a dog at broth until you got some sort of answer. You may not agree with answer, but you would get the real situation. That is not encouraged now and doesn't happen. And you don't get one-on-ones with the manager.
Right.
You get 20 of you in a room, and 6 of you will be able to answer, will be allowed to ask one question each or 2 questions each, and that's it. And you never see an answer challenged. I don't just mean at Newcastle United with Eddie. I'm talking about anywhere in the Premier League. You watch press conferences, Pep Guardiola or Teta, you never see them challenged by the guy asking the question. So really, you can say anything is the answer, and that's the end of that. We now move on to a totally different question. It is, what you get is very sort of superficial, and at the end of the day, you don't know anything. You really don't know anything that's new.
Yeah, it just feels a bit staged sometimes, doesn't it?
And the club doesn't want it to appear that they've got, you know, one particular journalist that they favor over the other or whatnot. So it's just, it's so different now than it was, you know.
Totally different.
Well,
totally
you know, Gibbo could ride the bus with Jackie Milburn and get some questions answered, you know, that kind of thing. You know, we don't do that anymore, and everybody's so tight-lipped. because
Well, I mean,
anything that's said
relationships
can
you
be
can-
everywhere.
the relationships you could have with players, guys. I mean, you mind you had to be capable of forging those relationships. They didn't just fall in your lap. But I mean, I was best man at Supermac's wedding. Irving Natus and Bob Moncur were godfathers to my kids. I went out regularly in the week with everybody from Mickey Quinn backwards, etc., into town, into nightclubs. I hasten to add on the right nights, not on Friday nights before Saturday game, but on the right night. And you could build up that sort of personal relationship. And there's none of that now. I mean, the players are distant, and I'm not having to go at the players either. No. It's the way of life. And the multi-millionaires, they're not going into town with some old scrubber like me to do something anymore. They're sitting in their Lamborghini with the aircon on and the records, and they're in a world of their own, aren't they? It is a totally different world, but it means that there's less feeling within football now, and fans, I think, feel the distance because they want. I mean, all I'm doing is working on behalf of the fans. I'm trying to get information to pass on to fans. That's the definition of the word reporter. You report what they're saying back to the fans, so the fans have some insight. Now the fans are being fed sanitized versions. If what's happening, not really what's happening. I mean, I used to get my card marked on the team and on the injuries and all that. I mean, with injuries now, you're told if you mention somebody, he's on the grass. Well, I mean, I'm on the grass when I go to put the washing out in the back garden, but that doesn't mean I'm going to play for Newcastle or not. I mean, you don't find out anything anymore, do you? You know, he's close. Well, what's he close to? Catching a chill, playing for Newcastle United, going for a pint at the bar? What's he close to?
Next to a lamppost.
You know, you don't get those questions used to be answered legitimately in the old days. And sometimes the manager would want to answer them by saying, "This is off the record, you can't quote me, but the situation is this." And then off you went there. But whatever. Anyway, we live in the world we live in, and we're grateful for the fact that regardless of what comes out of press conferences, Newcastle United are winning cups.
That was brilliant. Oh, man. Right. I'm going to ask you something that I asked all these fine gentlemen earlier in the show we did, looking ahead of the Leeds game. Now, I've spotted something that could be maybe another Joelinton masterclass that you talked about with Eddie Howe. Now, we have a very young player called Lewis Miley who has been absolutely superb playing out of position at right back. So the question is Lewis Miley turning into a much better version of Steve Watson? And could we put him on the right wing if Tino comes back into the side at right back? Because we don't have a right winger at the moment who likes to play on the right wing.
No, in fact, I think you've hit on something very important, Barry. And we're talking about Lewis, but you've hit on a problem position, which is outside right. I don't mean we'll go in the transfer market because we've already done that for longer. But so far, that spectacularly hasn't worked. Murphy is not now producing what he produced last season when he was absolutely super duper and had his best season ever. So we've got Barnes or Gordon to play outside left, but we've got Elanga or Murphy, both of whom have come up short to play outside right. We're short of outside right. As far as Lewis Miley is concerned, the biggest compliment I can give him is that he should be the first name on the team sheet 100%. Whenever Eddie Howe's picking a team at the moment. It's just what position he should play. I mean, can you think of a better compliment for Lewis Miley than we have not missed Tino Livramento, who's a Rolls Royce of a player, but so's this fella been playing right back. And I remember the first time he's picked right back a couple of games ago, was it Fulham or whoever it was, the manager saying that morning in training he had to take him to one side and give him a basic run through of what a right back's got to do because he'd never played there. And he went out and looked like an international. He can play Tonali's role, centre midfield anchor, like a dream. He can play right back like a dream. he could play outside right. So could Livramento, by the way. If you want to keep Miley at right back, Livramento could play outside right. And so could Miley. I mean, Miley is ridiculous. He has become so good. He's a boy that's suddenly become a man. He's 6'4", for goodness sake. He could stick a cap on top of Gray's Monument without having to go up the stairs. I mean, he's so big now. He's incredible. I mean, he is, and he's silky, isn't he?
Agreed.
When you Jack Charlton was a big guy. He was a Geordie big guy. He won everything at Leeds and he played in the World Cup final. But when he ran, he was as ugly as it's possible to be. He was all nubbly knees, and and you thought, goodness gracious, what's this? I mean, this guy's silk, isn't he? I mean, Lewis Miley as Livramento.
He's unbelievable.
And you're right, Barry. He could play outside of goal, and I suspect with his height, he could even play in goal. Outside of goal, he could play any position on the field. That is how good he is. And by the way, whisper it, he's still a teenager.
Yeah,
he's not 20 to me. Goodness gracious me. I tell you, the one thing we've got to do is make certain we don't do what we did with Elliot Anderson, and that's because he's 100% profit because he's come through the academy. Yeah. That is one of the worst things Newcastle have done in the modern era is selling Elliot Anderson, and we must not make that mistake with Lewis Miley because by Jove, there's plenty would take him. But I think having got stung with Anderson, we won't get stung with this. We won't let it happen. Not. But I mean, if I'm sitting down as Eddie and you spread the load and you're doing this, that, and the other guys for your team tomorrow night, and I'm sitting down with a blank sheet of paper and I'm thinking, right, I'm going to write my team down. Well, you put Pope in goal because it's him or Ramsdale. And then you look at the other 10, and the first thing you do is put Miley down. You just decide what position it is, whether it's right back, whether it's in the midfield. But that's how good he is, and it's wonderful to see. I mean, he's defensively good. He's great on taking corners. He's great on getting up at the near post with his 6'4" height and flicking headers into the net. You tell me what he can't do.
Back post, getting it back into Bruno to score the first goal.
Which is what he did for the breakthrough we needed. Saved my birthday turning into a nightmare.
Dan, thank you so much for that super chat. No, I will not be singing. No one wants to hear that, and especially when we've got such an astounded guest on. He doesn't want to hear me sing.
Were you going to sing? Were you going to chant there, my friend?
Definitely not. Definitely not. No one wants to hear me sing.
La 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 la.
There you are. You see, there's always somebody who'll take the bait. Well done.
There's always one. Here's a good question. What do you think of us potentially going back in for Strand Larson? I mean, I understand it because we need a third striker potentially if we're going to change our formation. But if we're not going to change our formation, we don't need an extra striker because we only need two. We can't have three players fighting for one spot, can you?
No. And we've got a Sula until we haven't got a Sula.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's still the rumours for him.
So, if we don't let him go, and all of a sudden, we've gone from thinking 30 million in the summer was a wonderful deal, let's snatch a hand off, to, or this guy could possibly make it, we'll let him go out on loan, maybe, because he'll be able to get some experience, but and he'll come back to us, etc., etc. So there's also a Sula to come into the equation. Larson, I'm not thrilled a bit. He's not the greatest centre forward that's I've ever seen. You're right. You need three centre forwards, but the third centre forward really has to be somebody young, like say a Sula, who's willing to fit in there and grow, etc., etc. If you've got Larson coming to you, he's not going to be wanting to sit as a third striker.
Correct.
No. Well,
there's no way he's wanting to be sit as a third striker. But even as a third striker, I mean, no. I mean, I'm all glad we got Wissa instead of him.
Yeah, I mean, the only way Strand Larson makes sense if we change our formation and play Voltemada as a 10, and then you've got Strand Larson and you've got Visser vying for the number 9 spot. The only way it makes sense to me.
The only other way it makes sense is if we stop playing football and enter a basketball team. Because him and Voltemada would be terrific.
Yeah, and Dan Burn, and Miley, and
Botman, and Pope.
We've got a big side, mate. Believe you me.
We definitely have. obviously the January window is such a difficult window to navigate through. Do you see us boosting? I mean, I always thought left back, but now Trippier's almost back. Tino's almost back again. We don't need a spare left back because we've got two ready-made potential players who can play left back and done it a lot and done it really well. So that's kind of negated it a little bit now. So do you see any other area where they might strengthen? I mean,
It's a good question, because a couple of weeks ago we would have said desperately we need a left back because Livramento and Trippier were injured, and Hall was very iffy on injuries at the time, and we seemed to have absolutely nobody to go in there. And all of a sudden, I mean, you think about it, we seem to be knee deep in right backs when we had Livramento and Trippier and Kraft, and all of a sudden we were having to make Miley into a right back, and did a very, very good job of it. I think left back is something you look at long term, because long term we probably won't have Trips. I think Trips will probably go in the summer. With our blessing and for a wonderful job done by us. He's 34, etc., and I think he'll want the last hurrah and the last payday somewhere else. So I think Trips will go. So we'll look at left back in the summer. I don't think we'll do an awful lot in the January window, if I'm perfectly truthful, because it's a very difficult window to do anything in. Clubs don't want to sell because they've only got a month, and if you're now a week into that month, you've got about 3 weeks left. So if we go and buy the centre forward from somebody, they haven't got much time to replace them, have they? Whereas in the summer, it's a different ballgame. I'll be surprised if we do much, if anything at all, this January, because of Trips coming back and because of Livramento coming back. And I mean, we'll look at the left back position. We'll look at the goalkeeping position big time in the summer, because Ramsdale will go back to Southampton. Ruddy and Gillespie, I mean, what are they doing there? I mean, I'm not certain what they're doing in the club. I mean,
are they not just there for like goalkeeping, like shot stopping and coaching, sort of in the background? Sort of.
Well, why were they on a player's contract and taking up the 3rd and 4th position? And I mean, I haven't seen Gillespie in the 4 years he's been here. He's never played a Premier League game, bless him.
Just to be safe, I think.
I mean, what are we doing? What do we do? And also, we haven't got a cover keeper because Ramsdale will go back. So in the summer, we'll have Pope, one goalkeeper. One goalkeeper. So that's going to be looked at in the summer big time, isn't it? Because you can't give Ruddy another contract. It would be Ruddy ridiculous. He's 40 in the next season. And Gillespie, I saw more Dizzy Gillespie when he was playing in the Jazz Club. I mean, what's he doing? Bless him. I mean, it's not his fault. I would take a contract. I could have done his job at St. James's Park over the last 4 years, and I've just had my birthday and I'm in my 80s. But I could have done his job because there isn't the one. There isn't the one, bless him. I'm not blaming him for picking up the dog.
Did he play the last 30 minutes in Seoul? I think that was the only time we've ever seen him between the sticks.
Oh, yeah. He played once in the League Cup and dropped an absolute clanger, and we haven't seen him since. But there you go. There we go. But that position will be looked at. Left back will be looked at. And I think they'll still look at a midfielder come this summer rather than January. Come this summer.
Yeah.
They'll look at a midfielder, and it will depend on what happens. The goalkeepers will be cleared out. Trips will probably go. Willett could be sold, not so much in January, but in next summer. So there will be changes in personnel, and there's got to be changes in personnel, and we've got to improve. But in a little way, I hope we'll have a better summer next summer than we had last summer, because while we got about 5, we lost Isaac, we've had the ripples of discontent ever since. And of the players we signed in the summer, Chow's been sensational. He is
he's been a Rolls Royce, hasn't he?
Bargain.
But outside of him, you've got Voldemade, who we've talked about at great length, finding the way to use him best. We've had Wissa, who we haven't seen yet, but we've got big hopes there. Ramsey needs to do it to justify 44 million. Ilanga's got to justify 55 million, and by Jove, because he looks well short. And the goalkeeper's going to go back. So outside of Chow, there hasn't been an absolutely undiluted 100% success. Voldemort can become that. But
Yeah.
of the summer signings. So we need to do better at this. Before that, everything we touched turned to gold, didn't it?
It did,
Everybody
yeah.
was trying to turn to gold. And Chow, by the way, I mean, I hope we were like Dick Turpin and had a mask on, because it was daylight wobbly when we bought in. 34 million for him. He's worth twice as much plus the rest now, isn't it?
But that signing was ridiculously done late as well, because Como were almost signing them for 25 million coming up from the lower division. And we've been tracking Chow for 2 years on the channel going, we need to buy him. We need to buy him. And then suddenly out of nowhere, we end up paying 30 million for him. And I'm thinking, well, we've just paid an extra 5 million, because, I mean, AC Milan don't really want him. What we doing? And I'm glad we got him. Yep. But I'm thinking, why didn't we get him when Como were after him? Like, what was the delay?
Well,
what was the thing?
He would have still been 30 million to us. He was 20 million because he was going to a small club in Italy. And that's fine. But if he's going abroad to a club like Newcastle United, I've told you, we stole him at the money we got him for.
Yeah. Oh, we did, definitely.
We stole him. I mean, what a good player he is.
No, we're definitely not bringing him back. The Greek goalkeeper. There's something not right with that. Even though he's doing well in Spain, I can't see him coming back.
I mean, he's got to come back at the end of the year. But and what's got people intrigued, Barry, is that he's gone on record in an interview he's done out there saying he wants to come back to Newcastle United and make a real go at being the number one keeper. That's what's got everybody fascinated, thinking. I mean, I don't know what he can do at all. I mean, at Newcastle United, I've seen Lord Lucan more often than I've seen him. So I don't know what he can do. But yes, I don't think that he's going to be Eddie's answer to a goalkeeping problem. No. And I think it's too expensive wages-wise. What we had to give him is part of a very iffy deal, which was done because of us needing to sell Anderson, etc., to get out of the fix we were in. But he's on too big a wages for us to carry him as the third keeper. So he's got to be, that's even somebody else that's got to be looked at in the goalkeeping situation come this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be strange having 5 goalkeepers, but only really having 1.
That's exactly what it is. You've summed it up in one go. We'll have 5 keepers, but only one that will actually play.
Yeah, it's crazy. Here's the league table as it stands. Finally in the top half. We're finally only a point against the unwashed down the road. Sorry, Macam Cabby, if you're in the chat. You're a nice lad, but, we want to get above you. Everything's looking a little bit more rosy now. You get 3 points tomorrow night, which is not an easy task against Leeds. They're a difficult team to beat. But we literally could be sitting in that final Champions League spot in 5th, because 5th will be Champions League next season. I can promise you that now. Then what was all the worry about, John?
Us Geordies know better than to think about that. Our pot's always half full until we look in it and suddenly find it's half empty. Because that's the way of Geordie life. But yes, when I look at that table, I mean, I've had to pay, through gritted teeth, I've had to pay fulsome praise to Sunderland for the way they've come up. They were supposed to go straight back down. So were Leeds, by the way, who are now 7 games unbeaten and 8 points off a relegation position.
8 points.
All of a sudden, the 3 that were going down that had just come up, only one of them, Burnley's, looking as if they'll actually do that. But I mean, tomorrow night, if we beat Leeds and Sunderland then fail to beat Brentford away, then we're above Sunderland for about the first time this season, and that'll feel great. And if we hadn't given them 3 points with a shocking display down there, they would be on our exhaust fumes. But there you go. There you go. But I mean, yes, it's beginning to look so much better. We've got to cash in. This is our second game of a run of 6 home games out of 7 in all competitions, the FA Cup and the Champions League as well. But that's a lovely run. And we, having won our last away game at Burnley, and Barry, wasn't that a wonderful feeling after waiting for so long?
Oh, God, it was.
Oh, wonderful feeling. But having done that, I mean, if you look at the other fixtures, guys, that's to come after 6 home games out of 7. And by the way, the last home game of those 6 is Aston Villa at home, which ain't easy. They're playing well. That isn't easy.
Really well.
Then the 3 games that immediately follow are all away, where our form is still iffy. Even though we won at Burnley, we've only won at Burnley and Everton and Union in the Champions League. But the 3 away games, we've got to follow that off the top of my head, are Paris Saint-Germain, Liverpool and Manchester City. So that's the European champions, the Premier League champions and City, who win everything, including a game of tiddlywinks in the pub. And we've got to play them 3 on the trot. So that's big time. So we've got to cash in on these 6 home games. And we're into the second one tomorrow night. We've got to cash in on this. I'm not suggesting for 1 second we're going to lose those 3 away games, but the one guarantee we've got is we're not going to win all 3 of them. We're not going to win at Paris Saint-Germain, Liverpool, and Man City. Or it's unlikely that we are. All of a sudden, having beaten Burnley, we can march on the world. All of a sudden, we're going to win every away game. But yeah, let's make the most of this, and that means winning tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, winning tomorrow night. Then the next league game's away to Wolves. That's a winnable.
That's a
winnable game.
The one away game out of the 7 is away to Wolves.
Yeah,
brilliant.
You've got to win that because geez, oh my God, our fixture list is.
What if we got Strad Larson?
Yeah,
never mind. No, I'm sorry, I'm joking. Baz, I have to say this. Are you familiar with the Men in Blazers channel?
The Men in Blazers, no.
The two Brit expats who they're on NBC now. One of them is now an American citizen. Raj. He's an Everton supporter. He's brilliant. He's absolutely hilarious. He does every week. He does the Prem table, and he writes a little quote next to the names, of the teams and everything. This one that he just put on yesterday, this shows Sunderland, and it says, "Enjoying looking down just for a laugh." And then, of course, there's us going. It says asterisk taps Sunderland on the shoulder. It's like, It was brilliant. I'll send it to you. This last one was great. I tell you what, it's a long race, boys, and leading at the halfway stage in the Grand National means nought. It's being first past the post at the final lap that matters, and let's see where we finish the season, and let's see where Sunderland finish the season. Yep,
I'll take that. I look like Eddie Howe. I normally get Paul Collingwood, so I'll take that. Baz, you heard from my dad. I haven't heard from him. Hope he's all right, mate. There we go. That's one, Jules. Right. Where we are in the chat. Right, here we go. Gibbo, in all the years you followed the Toon, who do you think was our best midfielders? I rate Beardsley and Tony Green head and shoulders above everybody else. Would you agree, or do you have another name to throw?
No, I think that is very, very sound indeed. I think the best player that Newcastle United have had in my lifetime, which is as long as anybody else's, I'm afraid. The best player in terms of the most gifted player is without question Peter Beardsley. Normally you get players who are great finishers like Supermac, like Shearer, like Jackie Milburn, etc., and then you get the wonderful midfield players like Tony Green and everybody else that we've had, and we've had a considerable number with Gaza and Waddle, if you like, wide midfield. But Beardsley could do a lot. He is the most talented player, in my humble opinion, that I've seen play for Newcastle United in my time. He was a maker of goals and a taker of goals, and a very special guy and to be treasured, and a Geordie to boot, which is rather special. I mean, I'm doing a gig with him on the Time Theatre in February, which is the stages Waddle, Beardsley, and Gaza. Now that was, we had all those 3 together. That was a bit tasty.
Absolutely. I would love to have seen Bobby Robson manage all them.
Oh yeah, that would have been fun.
And at Newcastle, obviously, he did for England. But
Yes. Yeah, but here, absolutely
yeah.
right.
We've missed out on so much as Newcastle. When you think about it over the years, especially in the early 80s, obviously I was just born in that, but my dad always says we had a rich of talent.
Yeah.
And then it literally just got destroyed, didn't it?
Barry, you're saying we've missed out on so much over the years. You should be my flipping age, and I've missed out twice as much as you. I've missed out twice as much as you, my son. And I tell you, but I've got so much hope that we're now in the ascendancy since the takeover, and we've had 2 Champions Leagues and 2 Wembleys and 1 Cup. That I've decided I've cancelled dying. I'm going to stay around because I want to enjoy Newcastle winning things in the future.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. One last question for you, and it's a good one.
Yep.
It's probably the best question of the night. Will we finish above Sunderland?
No question about that whatsoever. When they started flying out of the traps and went up the league right at the start, and I have to admit I was surprised because they had bought a full new team and a half.
Yeah.
And there were lads in the main outside of Frere Jacques, who used to be at Arsenal. There were unknown players. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they've done brilliantly, and they've been brilliantly organised, and well done them. But I've always said it's all right running around. I mean, you know, when there used to be top racers in athletics, you used to have a pacemaker, didn't you? And then he got swallowed in the second half of the race. Well, Sunderland will be swallowed in the second half of this race. They'll not go down. Well done to them, I've got to say it, but we'll finish above them, not a shadow of doubt. Come going to bed tomorrow night, we're probably above them.
Yeah, exactly. I hope so, because I'm in the last man standing thing, and I've took Brentford to win, so they need to do it for me. Right, before we leave again, I just want to pop this up again very, very quickly. Obviously, we do have an amazing charity night in aid of Gibbo coming on the show. I reached out to him and said, look, I need to do some more for your charity because it's a great idea. And it was great having him on the show. And he come back on again. It's amazing. We've got Graham Bailey as well, who's a well-renowned journalist, Team Talk now. He's he's a big Borough fan as well. And he said, look, I got him involved because he came on, and Butterwick Hospice was his charity as well. So we're doing 50-50. Every single ticket, every single raffle ticket, any penny we make from this is going to those 2 charities. And that's great credit to Gibbo, Graham and Supermac, who are doing it for nothing. All because every single penny is going to charity. And that's where we want to do our best. So hit this QR code and this will take you to the link to buy tickets. It's £15 a ticket. It's cheap. The bar's cheap. It's literally a 15-minute taxi ride, 10-minute taxi ride from Benfield into Newcastle afterwards when we decide to carry the night on. So, come on. Hit that QR code.
Tell them again, what night, what time?
Friday, 6:30 at Newcastle Benfield Football Club on the 27th.
Of?
Just before the Everton game, February. All in the post.
I know, but I was just pulling the information out of you, mate.
Right. We look forward to that. It'll be good.
Yeah.
And guys, I'll see you then. But I'd like to say to you 2 guys and all the Newcastle fans watching, keep the faith. There's a lot of the season left.
Yes, I love it.
Right there.
Excellent.
Thanks, Gibbo.
Brilliant. Good night, everyone. We will see you Thursday night for the review show after we beat Leeds.
Ta-da.
Fingers crossed. Ta-da, everyone.